Hello and welcome back. If you've seen either of my videos about how to create a 3D nutritional supplement jar container or how to create this dropper bottle in 3D in Photoshop, which can be used in Adobe Dimension, this tutorial is on how to edit your 3D objects to fit specific dimensions. I also want to show you what you receive when you donate to download the supplement bottle and containers. You'll receive these two zips with the mock-up and the bottle working files. The bottle itself has the working dimension file, which you'll see here, the Photoshop file with each object separately created, and here's a preview of the actual parts if you want to go in and recreate these from scratch again. Got the working parts to adjust the flute lid and the screw, or possibly the height or width of your bottle. First, let's take a look and dimension at how we can modify or resize these bottles. If you click on the object itself, you'll see to the right we are currently working in centimeters. If you go in Dimension to File, Document Settings, you can see that our properties for the canvas size are 1024 by 768. We're working in pixels for this canvas. So this is what our render size will be. Working with 72 resolution, which is for screen, and our scene units are in centimeters. Let's say we have a very specific bottle size we're trying to make, and it is in millimeters. Go ahead and change your scene units to millimeters. If you click on the object itself, now you'll see we've got the group of objects, and we can resize this together by clicking on the main folder. As long as you're on the V key for the black arrow, we have the size, which we can click to constrain proportions. Let's say that the entire height of this bottle should be 103.5 millimeters. That is going to be, if we look at our reference here in the corner, the y-axis is the height. And if upon resizing you have lost your object, just tap F on the keyboard to bring it back into frame. Now we need the width to be 58 millimeters. This time I'm going to unlock the size to restrain proportions. So the x-axis is what we want for the width, 58. The label size to be 69 millimeters in height. So I'm going to have to open this folder and select the label. I want the height, which is the Y, to be 69. And you may need to move the object down a little bit. Next, let's see how to place the label on our mock-up. You can either drag and drop a file to place the decal, and then by shift, click, and dragging you can scale this. As you can see, I am getting a seam. So something I'm going to do, let's go ahead and remove this graphic. Click on the label and go to Object, Generate UVs to try to get rid of that seam. If that doesn't do it, we can also rotate or orbit the entire object with tapping 1 on the keyboard. Let's go ahead and place our decal using the second method under Actions, the sticky note. will allow you to locate your file. And you can use the scaling by clicking, or you have scaled with your constrained proportions here at the right in the properties. So this label is still not intended for this jar size, but you can at least see now how to choose specific dimensions for your 3D objects. If you'd like to change the dimensions within Photoshop, I'm going to show you that next on how to edit your source files. Here we are in the layered Photoshop file, the .psd. If you are in your 3D workspace up here at the right, you can get there by checking 3D. And the 3D tab, you'll see here are objects. If we need to get these together to scale all objects together, you're going to ungroup this fluted lid by right-clicking, ungroup objects, and now you can select all of the objects, right-click, group objects. If you select the group and you are on the Move tool, V, you can now see that we can scale the entire jar and all of its parts together. If we need to look at specific dimensions in Photoshop, you can see I have my rulers on. If you go to View, Rulers, or Command R, you can toggle your rulers. To change the units, you can right-click on the ruler, and in this case, let's stay with the millimeters. You can see in the Properties panel the scale of all the objects together. Let's change the Y scale to the 103.5. You can select each layer independently if you need to change the width or height. So let's say the bottle width needs to be 58. You can turn off the proportions by clicking on coordinates and unchecking uniform scaling. And now for this bottle width, we can do that with the x-axis by typing in a number or using this click and drag slider scale. So let's choose 58. And our label should also be approximately the same. The Z should also be the same as X. If you need to edit the actual vectors, if that's easier for you, you can select one of the parts. Let's say we're selecting the bottle, and if you go to under Properties, Mesh, you can click the Edit Source button, which will open this shape, and in Layers, we can use our Direct Select arrow, which is A on the keyboard for shortcut. And here you can select, and holding Shift, you can drag your points up to resize or down, depending on which way you want to go with it. And you can also make it wider or narrower, depending on. So let's say we're going to make this really wide so we can see a difference. It's shorter and wider. We're going to save, Command S, this shape, close it, and you can see if we go back that it's directly modified our 3D object. So now you can get a better idea of how you can edit from either the vector parts, or revise the dimensions in Photoshop, or make your adjustments in Adobe Dimension. Of course, once you've made your adjustments and you're ready to export this again, you'll go back to your layers, click on the grouped object, and go to 3D, Export 3D Layer, choose Wavefront OBJ as the file format, and you can choose what dimensions here if you wanted. Then you'd be ready to import that object into Adobe Dimension. If this video helped you out, please like the video and subscribe. Thanks for watching.